Hey guys, so Zeus is on the floor today. He's somewhere down there. Uh, hanging all the box. Anyway, so my next one. Do I have a cook? No, I got something sticking out. Distracted. So my next one is a book that I only bought because an ex was into it. It was like Eggers Eagleton. I don't know. When I first met her, it was like all the kind of weird kind of books that smart people read, and so you start trying to figure them out. And I had one book sitting on my shelf. It was Baudelaire, and she's like, "You're not." And this was the first time she came over to my place, and she said, "You're not allowed to be smarter than me." And I was like, "I didn't even know I was smart. I just got it because I knew it was the opening from, or not the opening. It was the Matrix monologue was in there. So I had this Paulette book, and she's like, "You're not allowed to be smarter than me." So I'm like, "Holy shit!" I get up my game. So I bought this book. I haven't read it at all. Well, I mean, I think I have because I put a bookmark in it. I didn't even get to the normal. I got into page 15 of the thing. It's like XV. So I'm going to read one paragraph. I assume this is way over my head. It's called Sweet Violence, the Idea of the Tragic. Now, I can totally get into this. This is the kind of book I would have, if I had seen it in a bookstore, I would have bought it by myself. I only bought it though because I knew she liked this guy, Eagleton, Terry Eagleton. I'm sure he's written 1,000 things and it's probably more than a professor. Anyway, I'm just going to pop this open. Very dense. I'm just going to go right here. This is page 204. Is not the most seductive of worldviews. Seductive of worldviews for the 21st century. Indeed, it represents everything that is commonly thought wrong with the thought of modernity, rationalist, scientific, totalizing, metaphysical, universalist, and blandly upbeat. Kind of wish I knew what he was talking about, but I could put like 10 different things in the paragraph before this. A touch of tragedy would do it no harm at all. For Spinoza, as for Leibniz and Vico, so I'm guessing that's calling back to something I don't know. Evil is simply good grasped out of context. For him, as for Descartes, I understand Descartes, the essence of humanity lies in the intellect and opinion. For Spinoza, as all those guys, as for Descartes, okay, so I'll treat all those guys as Descartes. I can do that. An opinion which would seem to confuse persons with dawns. I don't know what dawns means. But one should not forget that these rebarbative doctrines go hand in hand in Spinoza with a revolutionary humanism, which preaches a brand of literal pluralism. I think I understand all this. I also think I might get it 50% wrong. Puts humankind in the place of God and affirms the democracy of the populace as the most fertile form of politics. I'm going to reread that one just to make sure I puts humankind in the place of God. Okay, got that. I think we've always put humankind in the place of God because, I mean, he's here, but, you know, he ain't really lending a hand. So we got to kind of take over. Affirms the democracy of the populace as the most fertile form of politics. So he's a full Democrat, not a Republican, like in the you, not a Republican in the sense that you hire your leaders and your leaders go and then they go be Democratic. He's a full Democrat. In any case, dude, I would start a new paragraph with that, but he's still in the same paragraph. In any case, one should not reduce a whole complex epic to one set of doctrines. For there is a tragic modernity. So it's modernity. That's the second time I've misspoken that because he uses the same word in the same paragraph twice. Just as much as a progressivist one. Wait, that made no sense. For there's a tragic modernity just as much as a progressivist one. So modernity and progressivist were at odds at some point. I don't even think this is an old book. This has to be like 90s or something. And if dialectical is usually when they say, I'm fancy and I just want to have a conversation. So it's we're in a dialectic. Seriously, it pissed me off all through college. I don't know what the fuck these guys. And if dialectical thought is in demand in the modern era, it is because the two are immediately aligned. So he's saying that modernity and progressivists are aligned. I don't think. So this is the kind of book that I know my ex would love. I also think that if you talk to her about it like a week afterwards, she wouldn't understand. But she would say she definitely read it. All right, I'm just going to read the next sentence or two. This is why there is irony in the proposal that the idea of tragedy is a full-blooded critique on modernity. Tragedy is a critique on... Yeah. This is not a good one to jump in the middle of. I can think about it. I don't want to bore you with my thoughts, but bourgeois humanism, affliction on the power. Yeah, that's gonna. I'll pop that one open again. Actually, I might do that one again next. That is not anything you can really take to heart. Sometimes people that understand English way too well like to impress other people that understand English way too well, and that is how they write. And then what they do is they try to find weird things, and they just find one weird thing, and they're like, "Oh, that's my thing." And then they dare anybody else to challenge them on it. If anyone comes back on them, they're like, I read this, and 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 I read this. That's how I understand the world of, I don't know, getting an English PhD. Anyway, have a good one, brother.